Hello, everyone. Matt Clark, research analyst for Money and Markets, here with your weekly marijuana market update. Before I start getting into this video, after we're done, I do want you to head over to moneyandmarkets.com. And what you can do there is you can sign up for our free daily e-letter from Sunday to Saturday. Even during the holidays, we sometimes put out content during the holidays as well. You can get a free e-letter. It contains safe and profitable information that's just for you, and it comes from myself, Charles Sizemore, Adam O'Dell, and many, many others that provide the content for you. Just go to moneyandmarkets.com and sign up to get that information sent to you each and every day. 3 stories, three pieces, about 2 to 3 pieces every day. Not too much, doesn't really crowd up your inbox, but does give you something to start the day off right, to get your portfolio boosted up and ready to go. Now, today in today's marijuana market update, I do want to spend some time answering some questions that some of you have had and have sent to me via YouTube or email. And then I will take a look at our Cannabis Watchlist and tell you how it's doing so far. Now, remember, if you want to inquire about a stock or a particular trend or anything like that, you can comment below in our YouTube on our YouTube page, or via email by emailing me at feedback@moneyandmarkets.com. That's feedback@moneyandmarkets.com. Now, I'll start out with KKQ. Those are letters. KKQ, who posted this on our YouTube page about Planet13 Holdings. I'm bullish on this stock for the next 1 to 2 years plus. But for some reason, I'm worried that if it gets federally legalized, meaning cannabis, it could actually hurt Planet13 because people can get it in their home. And I think what KK is meaning is that Planet13 is located in Las Vegas. It's kind of a tourist destination. If it gets federally legal, then no one will want to buy cannabis from anywhere else but wherever they can get it at home. Now, first off, KK, thank you for your comment and your question. Second, I can understand the concern. Federally legalizing cannabis is going to open a ton of doors for it, but it's likely, we'll see a lot of new producers and growers and retailers popping up immediately after legalization happens. But I wouldn't worry too much about that. One, it's going to take time for the federal government to legalize it, probably in a matter of years, not months. But they also have to figure out regulations and taxes, and we all know that unless it serves their best interest, Congress really never does move at a lightning pace. They move very, very slow. So I wouldn't be too worried about that. 2, established players in the market are going to have a big leg up here. Companies like Planet13 that are already starting to diversify their operations into California are going to be ahead of the game, and there's really nothing to suggest that their model wouldn't work in other states. You've got states like New Jersey, where you've got casino gambling in Atlantic City. You've got many other tourist destinations across the country that could be used with a similar model that Planet13 has with its massive superstore in Las Vegas. And third, every cannabis provider has a different strain available. They're not all the same. Cannabis is not the same across where you buy it. You go to the store, you can even actually see different types of strains available. What you get in Colorado may not necessarily be the same thing you get in California or Nevada or whatever. Plus, you've got medical strains, you've got adult use strains, and there's numerous. So there's a ton of products out there. Plus, Las Vegas is always going to be a tourist destination, and the federal government is likely to regulate the transportation of cannabis across state lines, kind of like what they do with tobacco and alcohol. So I don't think Planet13 is going to see any big drop off if Congress does decide to decriminalize cannabis anytime in the recent future. I certainly hope they do, but I don't know how soon that's going to be. Now, the next question comes from Robhan. I hope I'm pronouncing that. Robhan3 on YouTube. Matt, what is your thought on the current trading price of GRWG? Do you expect a major correction coming? It's a very good question, and I do thank you for asking that. Now, at the time I'm recording this video, GrowGeneration Corporation was trading at about $51 a share. That's about 1,680% up from its March 2020 low. That's a massive jump. There is some issue with the stock valuation, as its price to earnings ratio stands at about 761, which is very high. Its price to sales is 14.9. Its price to book is 20.8. Those are also high, especially when you compare them to their industry peers. But this could really go either way. I mean, we saw a massive drop off a couple years ago with cannabis just because talk of it really died down. I don't know if that's going to happen again. Analysts have a high price target for GrowGeneration of about $65 a share, a low target of $27 a share, indicating that really not even Wall Street has any idea what to make of this latest run. Now, there are some legitimate concerns about a correction coming, and I think that it's feasible to think that it is. Now, consider that stocks in general, I mean, across the board, are very overweight right now. And they don't see any signs of slowing down. But once things get too overweight, there's got to be a contraction. The market always corrects itself in some form or fashion. But I could see a correction, but not one that I think will drop it down to the levels we saw in March of 2020, or not even one that I think will drop it down to $27 a share. But it hasn't changed my position on the stock, even with a correction. I think it's a good cannabis stock to own for the next 12 to 24 months and even longer. Now, Anthony Zarello asked me on YouTube, "Hi, Matt, what do you think of MedMen Enterprises Incorporated?" Well, that was interesting because Frenetic321 on YouTube also added this. MedMen tried being a super flashy store. Was it timing, lack of size or scope, or dilution that hurt them? Well, Anthony and Frenetic, thank you for your questions and your comments. First off, MedMen trades over the counter using the ticker MMNFF. MedMen NFF. It's a relatively small cannabis company that operates 25 retail stores in 6 states, and it's based in California. My biggest concern here is that the stock price has not moved very much at all since the 2020 election. That's when we saw a big boom in cannabis stocks because Democrats took the White House. They were going to maintain control of the House. And then after the Georgia election, the first of the year, they now control the Senate, which has investors thinking that cannabis legalization is really going to be in the conversation, thus starting to boost those stocks. MedMen, however, has not been part of that equation. It hit a low of about 11 cents a share back in March of 2020, rocketed up to 38 cents a share about 10 days after hitting that low. So that was a pretty good jump. It touched on that high again in May, but then has dropped off ever since. As I record this now, it's trading at about 16 cents a share, which is 45% up from that March low, which isn't bad. But again, we're talking about 11 cents to 16 cents, not $11 to $16. Kind of a difference. But again, it didn't bounce a lot like a lot of the cannabis companies did after Election Day. It's actually down a penny per share from Election Day trading. The company's trailing 12-month income is minus $301 million, and it still has about $500 million in debt outstanding. MedMen has really struggled after the coronavirus crash in March and really hasn't shown any signs of any upward momentum. As for the company, I just don't see a direction here. Timing really wasn't the issue, but I think it was the lack of scope that Frenetic321 mentioned that likely is. This would be a cannabis stock I'd probably stay away from for now. Now, thank you for all your questions and your comments. I have a lot of cannabis stocks that you've asked me about that I'll be looking at and digging into in the coming weeks and giving videos for you during our marijuana market update. Now, I want to take a look at our cannabis watch list that's on Money and Markets. Our watch list continues to perform very well with the average gain of all 6 of our positions at about 37% to the good. I'll take that for cannabis stocks. Here's a deeper look at our watch list. Schweitzer Maudet International, which trades on the New York Stock Exchange under SWM. It's a traditional tobacco company. It's been in the black since I put it on the watch list in September. It's now showing a 40.3% gain since then. PerkinElmer Incorporated, it tests cannabis strains. It tests a lot of things, but cannabis strains is just amongst some of the things they test. It's been a consistent winner. JP Morgan and Chase has increased its stake. We've talked about that. The stock is now up more than 24% since I added it in September. Turning Point Brands trades on the New York Stock Exchange under TPB. This is another traditional tobacco company that's making a run in the cannabis market. One of our best performers so far. It is up 48%, actually more than 48% now since I put it on the list in October. GrowGeneration Incorporated, we talked a little bit about that earlier, but this is a cannabis company that has sold more stock in hopes of gaining more public money, which they were successful at. Since I added it on the watch list in November, just a couple months ago, it is up more than 84%, and it still has some room to grow. Again, correction could be coming. I don't think it's going to hurt us any. I think we may see a little bit of backtrack, but I still think GrowGeneration is solid in terms of the direction it's going. Planet13 Holdings, this is the most recent addition. I added this just a couple weeks ago. It's faced a little resistance since we added it, but the Las Vegas-based company does have big expansion plans into California, and I think it's going to pay off for it in the long run. Now, for now, the position is down about 5% since I added it, but don't fear. I think it's going to bounce up here in the near future. Now, Scott's Miracle Grow is our final position. It was actually our weakest performer up until recently because people just weren't buying fertilizer. The market just wasn't really strong for it. People were cycling. Investors were cycling out of the industry, but it was down as much as 10% in October. But now that stock has rebounded. It is up nearly 30% as of today. So a 40% swing, I will take that. We've got stocks that are up 40%, 48%, 24%, 84% on our watch list. If you got in on these positions whenever I recommended them, congratulations on those gains. I think we've got more on the way. You can check out my cannabis watch list on moneymarkets.com. Next week, I'm going to talk about another cannabis stock that's been mentioned in our YouTube comment section. Keep those coming, by the way. I love reading them. I love seeing what you have to say and what you'd like me to take a look at. Coming up this week, we're going to have more on the Bull and the Bear podcast, as well as our Money Markets week ahead, so make sure you stay tuned. And again, check out moneymarkets.com every day for new content that provides safe and profitable investment information for you. I'm Matt Clark, research analyst for Money and Markets and your host of the Bull and the Bear podcast and the Marijuana Market Update. Until next time, everyone, safe trading.